I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. She speaks! Oh my gosh!
Miss Brett, you speak Japanese!
Well, of course I do. I am studying in your country after all. But then, why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems that men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
Well, you are the epitome of a true English gentlewoman. We are truly honoured by this lavish consideration you so graciously offer us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brent, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear her own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Yunosuke. Death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I've heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway. The most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in the Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope that is the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Not at all, not at all. It is merely a delight to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today.
Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. What? Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. Put up with it! I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. Will it be? If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Let's go. So, yes, Your Excellency. With pleasure. then you may proceed with the cross-examination. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna press everything.
Yes.
What are we gonna talk about? But his hand was on the searing hot plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed. Do you think so? Let me ask you something. Sorry? Ever since I arrived in this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. Excuse me? You can't not have noticed, can you? How can you see that? I'm behind a desk. Hold on a second. What's fun? You haven't realised.
The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Dude, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honourable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Well, yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Yes.
Well, I can't. Anyway. とにかく Okay. As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water, is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although... What's wrong, mate? Whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table. I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you. What's that all about?
I have enough English to understand that, at least. For the benefit of others in the court, it means bless you.
But no one sneezed. I think it means the exact opposite. Anyway. As far as I've heard...
Yes.
Oh. Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhage from ballistic trauma. Oh, now you can read that word. Yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it can only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense. The burn must have happened straight away when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled down even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
And yes, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. Until you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that, this is a complete waste of time.
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchi is right. Ah! Without leaving a trace. If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there can be no doubt. Isn't that right, Inspector Hosonaga? Isn't that right?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all these causes of deaths, that's true. But maybe there's other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark. If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did lose his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls rather flat, doesn't it?
Oh no, perish the thought! Calling such a sweet young lady's innocence into question. On my honour, I, Takechi Yachi, will cut down any who dared cast such aspersions.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. But of course, this country's investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Yes.
Inferior? What do you mean by that? Is that important right now, or are you not scared? In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police stole everything found at the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so?
Quite right, the carnival was open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly. Which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. You're right, mate. Does it even occur to your naive detectives to try preserve the crime scene? I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand.
Ah, killer blow! The lady is as formidable as she is beautiful!
Amazing! He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps prosecutor Aochi is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. This poor dude. What do you think, Yunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony. The cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma? What, Yunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Britt? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant. If it might present an opening, maybe. Right, I have an idea. Try pressing her on that last statement one more time. If you think so. But this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. I wonder what Kazuma's thinking. Find out soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on the last statement again. Yes, there it is again! The detective's reaction is the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been in the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the English woman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? Because we're in a video game. Yeah, okay. Alright then. Exactly, which means that even the investigation takes a different direction. Vital evidence may be lost.
Excuse me.
What's the meaning of this? Oh jeez, I think we scared him. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. It looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you had to say. If there's something you'd like to say, please, share it with the court.
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful English woman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Oh, is that how it works? Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention the fact that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga? Yes? Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Britt? Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I've done. Crime scene thief? Well, it looks the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this, for example. Is that... This is a bottle of carbonated water that I took from the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. Ew. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it. Oh, jeez. I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Yeah, could use some water. Did I skip something by accident? Okay, never mind. Miss Brett. Can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank on the day of the victim's death? Yes, it was that bottle. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Very well, counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervour. Excuse me, bodily functions, it happens. Sheesh. Alright, let's snoop. The label is written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Cosmo? I think it's French. French! This must be very expensive water. Yes, but what does it say? That's what I was asking. Then go to France and ask. You could just say that you don't know. Speak English! Is that it? So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle. Well, it's just plain water now. You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. Don't drink the evidence. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going. Don't drink the evidence! No, Bunoski, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, Yunosuke. In more ways than one. I wonder, could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to give ticks, but whatever. Once we checked it. But yeah, bodily functions. Unfortunate. Oh. We're back to the beginning. Back in the beginning. Oh, shoot. Wrong button. Take this. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Oh, she's gone quiet. We're on to her now. Obviously, I'm referring to poison.
Poison?
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order, order, order! And on that day, who was still sitting at the table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have done it. Giselle Brett, it was you!
This is outrageous! To use just such a thing without a scrap of evidence! You little rookie imbecile! Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your fresh accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime. The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may,
I will silence you forever for this disgraceful act.
It is you who should be silent.
Of course. Dear lady!
Where did that come from? She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies. Sorry, my lady, to what are you referring? Described your police force as inferior. But no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe? The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did! Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents. And what did you find, Inspector? I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We could find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the Chief Coroner himself. No. No! I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You've successfully established my complete innocence in this horrid affair. Thank you.
But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned. Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution have asserted, a shot to the chest from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit. I'm done for. The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett. Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved. Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point? Kazuma? I'm sorry, Yunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving. Good heavens. Of all the bumble. Please, wait! Isn't that... What is the meaning of this? Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikotoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Mikotoba. In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in a furoshiki cloth.